How are you?
Pretty good. Happy birthday. You're welcome.
In the absence of a mayor, I will call the meeting to order. The City Commission meeting of Monday, February 10th, 2025. We'll start the meeting by standing and saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Yardley. May we have a roll call, please?
Benson?
Here.
Brunick?
Here.
Sarda?
Here.
Hanoff?
Here.
Minor?
Here.
Mosier?
Here.
Villanueva?
Present.
Weber?
Here.
Mayor Schramm? City Manager Leon?
Here.
City Attorney Denherter?
Here.
Thank you. With the quorum present, we need to find someone who can act as Mayor Pro Tem for this evening's meeting. So if there are any motions for someone to serve as Mayor Pro Tem this evening, I'll take them from the floor.
Nominate Commissioner Mosier to be mayor.
I'll second.
There is a motion and a second to nominate Commissioner Mosier to serve as Pro Tem. Any other nominations? Any discussion? We will have a roll call.
Benson?
Aye.
Brunick?
Aye.
Sarda?
Aye.
Hanoff?
Aye.
Minor?
Aye.
Mosier?
Aye.
Villanueva?
Aye.
Weber?
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. And we'll have Mayor Pro Tem Mosier head over and get settled, and then she'll conduct the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
All right, thanks for that, and we'll go ahead and get started. But first of all, I have a note on my agenda here, and I'm hoping you all can help me with this. We have a birthday today, somebody sitting up front on the City Commission. It is Ross's birthday today, and in typical fashion, we're going to sing, so please join me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ross. Happy birthday to you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for helping me to turn Ross 3 shades of red today on his birthday. Appreciate that. All right, with that, then we'll move on to routine business. And next on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 27, 2025. What is the pleasure? So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the minutes of the regular meeting. Is there any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Opposed? opposed, nay. Anybody abstaining? Minutes passed. Number 3 under routine business is schedule of bills. What is your pleasure?
Move to pay the bills.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pay the bills. Is there any commission discussion on it? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Brunick,
Aye.
Sarda. Hanoff,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 4 under routine business is the city manager's report, so I'll turn it over to City Manager Leon.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the commission, and to the public here. Would like some feedback from you commissioners right now. I have on your consent calendar a work session for our next meeting, February 24th, 2024 at 5 p.m. That is set at your pleasure, so if you want to pull it, you can, or if you'd like to keep it there or change the time, you may also do that. What we were wondering is whether or not you want to discuss the on-sale retail liquor license that some of you, most of you will remember that we have given a year between meetings to talk about and think about and discuss how we're going to proceed there. So didn't know if you wanted to have some discussion about that. Your discussion would help staff form a recommendation. Otherwise, we will form a recommendation without your discussion, but didn't know how you felt about that or about the time.
I think it's certainly a worthy discussion. Seems to me like it would fit into a regular agenda, so maybe wouldn't require the work
We
session.
can also put it on the regular agenda as well. Okay. We'll do that, and we will then pull it, probably ask that that be pulled from the calendar. All right. Also want to remind everybody that there are petitions being circulated for city commission and for school board. Petitions have to be returned by February 28th. That's a Friday at 5 p.m. So if you're interested in circulating a petition for city commission, there's still time. You can pick them up in the finance office or receive them on the Secretary of State's website. Because we don't have another meeting in between now and our next meeting, February 17th, Monday, that is a day that is a city holiday for us, and so we will have city offices closed. Solid waste and recycling schedules will be altered, so keep an eye on the website for what's going to happen there. Also, in your city commission information report, there is some information about Secure South Dakota. You may want to read that. Basically, the state is working on some measures for cybersecurity statewide for local governments. So that's something Dwayne and his team are looking at closely, determining our participation there and some of the programs that are coming forward. I know you haven't seen it lately, but we were getting a little snow. Our sanders were out today. Adam has assured me that our plows are still working and still operable. If we need to deploy them, we will communicate with the school very early and communicate with public safety. So that's all I have, unless there's questions specifically for me, Mayor Pro Tem Mosher.
Amy, remind the public again, because I've heard several rumors of quite a few petitions being circulated in the city. Again, the rules of as far as who can sign and how many can you sign, if you want to remind everybody.
Sure. You can sign 3 petitions. Folks that can sign must be registered voters and live within city limits. So if you're not one of those kind of people, then you cannot. Now, a school board has different rules. Of course, you have to be in the school district there. So check with the school on their election. However, for us, you can sign up to 3. So if you sign more than 3, then I presume when they're reviewed, Lisa, the 3rd one or the 4th one would be omitted from that individual's petition.
Thank you for clarifying that. We always love to hear lots of people have an interest in running, and we want to make sure, if you do, that you give yourself the best chance to make sure you're on that ballot. So wanted to make sure we covered that. Is there any other questions of the city manager from the commission? All right, seeing no microphones come on, we'll move on to number 5 under routine business, which is a chance for folks in the public to appear in front of the city commission on something not on the agenda tonight. Mr. Bixler? I'm going to have you come up to a mic. I think Dave can help you here. Yep. We record the meeting, so we want to make sure everybody hears you.
I'm very aware of that. I've been to enough of these. And I say that with a smile, not with a. Here we go. Thank you. Commissioners, members of the public, my name is Thomas Bixler. I'm running for Yankton City Commission among the other candidates that are on the petitioning. And if any of you would like to, who are sitting or are on the commission, I would like to know if you'd like to sign my petitions. If you wish to, I will be right here until the end of the meeting or until you go into executive session. I am a person who has done this many times. I am very, very skilled at this. I will not be upset if any of you do not wish to sign. I just would like to know if you would. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Perfectly timed after our little discussion on how many signatures are needed for a petition. So anybody else in the public? I know there is one more, but I just want to give a chance. So I'm going to call Chief Foote up to the microphone. I believe he has an introduction he wants to make.
So before I took over as chief, Chief Harris often would bring new officers into the commission chambers and introduce, and we focused on hiring and kind of forgot about that, introducing to the commission. So I'd like to introduce Officer Dax Johnson here. Officer Dax Johnson came from the Yankton County Sheriff's Office after working over there for a little bit, and now works for us. So Officer Dax, would you like to say anything?
I was going to say, we're not letting him off easy if we can get him in the commission chamber. So come on up. You can sit right next to Chief Foote. He'll keep you safe. Speech. No, maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you came from or how you got into law enforcement and anything else you want to share.
I grew up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Both parents are in law enforcement. So I kind of just felt like it was in my blood. So I tried it out and I love it. And found my way to Yankton Police Department, which I truly love. So,
How long have you been in law enforcement?
I've been in law enforcement a little over 3 years.
And so just having parents in law enforcement is really what drove the passion to want to do that as well?
Yeah, yep.
What school did you graduate from in Sioux Falls?
Washington.
Okay, we'll try not to hold that against you.
No, you're good.
The Yankton Bucks and Gazelles will make you feel really welcome, I'm sure.
Yeah, yep.
Awesome. Anybody else have anything?
Do you play basketball?
I will be playing in the Battle of the Baptists.
Okay, fair enough. Welcome.
Well, unfortunately, don't slip and fall or get hurt on the way out tonight then.
I will try not to.
Did you want to be a volunteer firefighter by chance? No. We'll look forward to that. Chief, Mike, when is that event? Now that they brought it up, you might as well promote it.
That'll be February 23rd. Starts at 1:30. Again, it'll be police versus fire. There'll be two games, the Sheepdogs versus the Yankton All-Stars, and it should be a fun time for all, we hope.
And we hope I don't get hurt.
Yeah, if anybody wants to see Chief Foote's basketball skills, definitely an event to come to for that. All right, anybody else in the public? I knew we had that one. I do not see anybody else moving to the microphone. So we will go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. As Amy shared earlier, we will remove number 1 from the consent agenda, as we will not be doing a work session on February 24th because the topic will be put on a regular city commission agenda. So then that leaves, I believe, 2 consent agenda items: a transient merchant license application and the Yankton County Pre-Disaster Mitigation Plan participation. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the consent agenda. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Burnick.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on then to old business. Number one is consideration of memorandum 25-31, recommending that the city commission conduct the second reading and public hearing of ordinance 1094, amending and supplementing ordinance 1083, the 2025 annual appropriations ordinance, and adopt said ordinance. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Burnick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. And number two under old business is consideration of memorandum 25-35, recommending that the city commission conduct the second reading and public hearing of ordinance 1095 and adopt said ordinance. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Burnick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Cruising along on the agenda, so now we move on to new business. Number one is consideration of memorandum 25-29, recommending that the city commission approve the salary adjustments for the city manager as outlined in resolution 25-04. The city finance officer is outlined in resolution 25-05, and the city attorney as outlined in resolution 25-06. And this would be effective January 1st, 2025. Before I ask for the pleasure of the commission, I just kind of want to, in a transparent mode here, just let everybody know how these evaluations take place. I know, so poor Jay and Josh will just have to tune me out for a minute because I was on the media review with them on Friday and we discussed this as well. So they can take a little mental break in having to listen to the meeting. But for those that aren't aware, there are 3 city employees that report directly to the commission. They do not report to each other. Or one over the other. They are 3 equal employees under the city commission. So when it comes time to do employee evaluations, those employee evaluations are done by the commission. And how we do that, city employees will be familiar with this. We do what we call a stay evaluation. So sometimes you might say, well, how do we keep somebody? So what do we need to know about staying employed for the city of Yankton? And we ask them questions about what do they think they did well this year? What do they think they could have done better? How can the city commission support them? What are goals they have? Typical questions, I think, if any of you are in a leadership position, you ask of your own employees. So they fill that out. It is then submitted to all 9 of us who get a copy of the stay evaluations by each city employee. Then the 9 of us, so you can imagine getting a job performance evaluation done by 9 bosses instead of 1, but it's sent out to all 9, and then the 9 of us are able to provide feedback anonymously. Those comments are collected. And then it is up to the mayor and at least one other city commissioner then to meet with the employees. We go directly through their stay evaluation, and then we go through all comments that are shared by city commissioners who wish to provide comments. We never know if somebody does or doesn't, because like I said, they're compiled anonymously, but we go through that, I guess you'd say 2-on-1 with each employee, because there's always the mayor and a city commissioner in the room. But we don't, because they have 9 bosses, want to leave anybody out. So last meeting, while I can't tell you what was said, that is what we did during the executive session, is then those 3 individuals come in and really it's like a firing squad, right? They sit pretty much right in that chair there, and they visit with all 9 of us at one time about anything that was in their evaluation or anything else any of us want to have a discussion with them on. At that time, and in our workings with each other, the 9 of us decide what we want to do for salaries for these 3 employees. The employees have no input on their salary. We have no, I don't know if we've even ever asked if you want to raise what they think that raise should be. That is not a question we even ask in the stay evaluation. So we make that determination based off of where we feel we should put them. A lot of times, just an FYI, it's so that we stay competitive. We're very fortunate in the city of Yankton. I say this to them, so I'm not speaking outside of turn of executive session. We are very fortunate in the city of Yankton to have the 3 individuals sitting in the chairs that they're sitting in. They all do a really good job for us. We've had a lot of great things going on in the city. Not everything always easy, but a lot of good things, and we're very fortunate to have the leadership all 3 of them bring to their position. I know it's been noted, and folks have talked to me about it before too. We don't have a whole lot of jobs open in the city, and I think it's because it's really a great place to work. Employees feel appreciated, and they just do a lot of good things for the city employees, and it's under the leadership that these 3 provide. And I see a couple department heads shaking their heads, so I don't think I'm speaking out of turn there. So just wanted to set that straight, because I know there's been lots of talk on how that happens, and so the 9 of us decide what those raises should be, and that is why it's then becoming public tonight in front of all of you, so that we can have a discussion on that if that is something we choose to do. But I just wanted to let you know how that process works. And because it takes so long to do this, I think their stay evaluations were done in November. I think it happened to be myself and Mason that met with them this year. I think that happened early January-ish with the holidays in there. So then that's why we retroactivate that back to January 1, because that's when we do the rest of it for the rest of the city employees and what we've done through the negotiations there. Okay, so I wanted just to thank you for giving me the privileges to walk through that, because I, again, want the process to be very transparent in how that takes place. So understanding that, I've already read the motion. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Steph, do we need to do these individually?
I was wondering that myself. Okay.
I can make a motion to approve the city manager's adjustment to $170,200.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the city manager's salary. Is there any discussion from the commission?
I had a couple of comments. Did do some research on this afternoon, because it does grab people's attention when your highest paid employee gets your highest percentage raise, which in this case is 12%. But I did some research, and our pay at that position is currently the lowest of the 8 comparably sized South Dakota cities that I looked at. 5 of those are actually smaller than Yankton in terms of population. And this raise would actually move our city manager from 8th out of 8th place of those cities to 7th out of 8th place, or excuse me, 7th place out of 8. It would move her just barely above Vermilion. City manager and I have not agreed on every issue, but she does work hard, and she brings a lot of experience, and I think she's deserving.
Thank you. I appreciate that comment, Commissioner Hanoff.
Anybody else on the commission have a comment or a question?
I would like to just reiterate what Brian just said. I think it's important that we're competitive. I think it is a big jump. I don't disagree with that. I do think that it's warranted. We've been, if we fall behind, which I believe that we have, I think that there's a time that we have to get caught up, and the only way that you can get caught up is by having a large jump like that. If we don't get caught up, it just becomes a larger jump in the future, and I don't think that that's fair to do, so that's why I'm going to support it.
Anybody? Oh, sorry.
I just want to agree with those comments, but also Commissioner Hanoff, not to put you on the spot, do you have that list since you did the research? I mean, just because if we could read that, that'd be great, just so we know.
Sure. The 8 communities I looked at, Spearfish was first, Pierre was second, Brookings was third, Watertown was fourth, Aberdeen was fifth, Mitchell was sixth, Vermilion was seventh, Yankton was eighth. This would move us a little ahead of Vermilion.
Okay, thank you.
And so it's not exactly the top of the list. Spearfish actually pays $209,000. They're way out front, but the rest were in the high 170s.
Oh, sorry, a couple, I think, in the 180s and stuff too, from what I saw. Yeah. Any other commission comments or questions? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosier.
Aye, motion carries. We have two other positions, so what's the pleasure of the commission?
Move to approve for Resolution 2505 for the finance officer, salary 121,107.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the increase for the finance officer. Any comments or questions on that from the commission?
I would just like to say how amazing I think Lisa is, and she does such a fantastic job.
I appreciate your comments and the full support from the city commission.
Yeah, I think sometimes we forget Lisa hasn't been in that position very long because it was such a seamless transition. Not that we don't miss Al and his one-liners and jokes, but yeah, Lisa, thanks for the great job you did in that transition. I think it was pretty seamless for the community as well. Anybody else in the commission? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Weber.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosier.
Aye, motion carries. And what is the pleasure of the commission on the third position?
Move to approve Resolution 2506.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the city attorney's salary increase. Is there any comments for the birthday boy? Might be nice. We already embarrassed him once, but no, again, as I've said earlier, we're very fortunate. Ross is a great addition and does a great job making sure all of us stay in line, understand all our options as it comes to rules tied to the numerous city ordinances. And we didn't say this with Lisa, but, they've done a really great job this last year. There's been a lot of ordinances that have come in front of the city commission for us to get updated on stuff that hasn't been updated for years. So a lot of work done there, and we appreciate that. Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosier.
Aye, motion carries. All right. I'm going to make a note here. Okay. Moving on to number 2 under new business is consideration of memorandum 25-26, recommending that the commission approve the purchase of a Kubota tractor for Parks Department with a trade-in for a net price of $33,500, as noted in resolution 25-03. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Brunick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosier.
Aye, motion carries. Number 3 under new business is consideration of memorandum 25-27, recommending that the commission approve the purchase of a Land Pride all-purpose seeder for the Parks Department at the Sourcewell bid price of $8,573.25. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosier.
Aye, motion carries. Number 4 under new business is consideration of memorandum 25-28, recommending that the commission approve the purchase of a Bobcat S66 skid steer for the Parks Department with a trade-in for a net price of $33,554.97. What is the pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosier.
Aye, motion carries. Number 5, consideration of memorandum 25-30, recommending that the commission award the bid for a new 24 model Ottawa T2 4x2 yard tractor to Tractor Center Companies of Norfolk, Nebraska, in the amount of $143,348 for the Department of Public Works Joint Powers Division. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Minor,
Aye.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunick,
Aye.
Sarda,
Aye.
Hanoff,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 6 under new business is consideration of memorandum 25-32, recommending that the commission approve a special on-sale malt beverage retailer's license for one day, August 16th, 2025, from the Yankton Rodeo Association. This event will take place at the rodeo grounds located at 404 Paddle Wheel Drive. Ironically, I'm guessing is tied to Riverboat Days. What is your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunick,
Aye.
Sarda,
Aye.
Hanoff,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to new business. Number 7 is consideration of memorandum 25-36, recommending that the city commission discuss the proposal and take action on resolution 25-08, a sales tax agreement and development agreement amendment request. If approved, it is further recommended that the city attorney prepare the contract documents necessary to carry out the commission's directive, and the city manager be authorized to sign said documents. Dave? You're not scooting into retirement real early. I want to have you step up to the mic here. Let's unpack this, Dave. So why don't you walk us through what this all is being proposed tonight?
Sure. Let's skip using the R word for at least 2 or 3 meetings anyway from here forward. As you know, the City Commission previously approved an agreement with Matt Evans for Event Central, the former Yankton Mall, to help with his recruitment, or to help the financing for him to be able to recruit 3 national retailers, which he was able to successfully complete that, and we've all heard those names, and work is being done on those projects right now. Mr. Evans and Ryan Tisdale from Van Buskirk are here this evening to ask that agreement be amended, not in length of time, but in cap, so that they are able to finance the work for additional 3 or 4 more stores that they have interested in their property. So that's what the ask is tonight, and I believe they're going to have a little presentation for you here and tell you everything they've been doing and plan to do.
Yeah, you bet. Hi, I'm Ryan Tisdale from Van Buskirk, and I think, are there some images that we could put up on the screen as we get going here? I have a couple short prepared remarks, going to provide an update on the project, and then kind of open it up for questions as we kind of dig in. Good evening, I'm Ryan Tisdale with Van Buskirk Companies. I am the real estate broker who's been negotiating the deals with new retailers in the Yankton Mall these last couple years. I will start by saying thank you to the Commission for their support of the Yankton Mall project. Just 1 year ago, you approved the $1.7 million sales tax rebate, which made the reimagining of the property a reality. Thank you to the Commission, to Dave Mingo, to Nancy Winandy. Definitely would never have gotten done without everyone's support. Simply put, without your assistance, we would not have been able to bring Hobby Lobby, Marshalls, and Five Below to town. The addition of these new retailers not only provides long-term sales tax and economic impact, but it also improves the quality of life for residents of Yankton and several surrounding communities. Instead of being a large, blighted stretch of Broadway Avenue, the Yankton Mall is on its way to being a high-profile, attractive shopping destination. We finalized our deals with the first 3 retailers back in mid-September, just in time to get the parking lot work done before the asphalt plants shut down for the winter. Your approved funding made many necessary capital improvements possible, such as parking lot paving, lighting, new storefronts which are coming, significant interior demolition, asbestos removal, interior demising walls, HVAC work, electrical work, plumbing improvements, and work specific to each specific retailer. Further, it was meaningful to the owner's lender, First Dakota National Bank, to see the community's support behind this project. The first 3 retail deals consumed the current $1.7 million rebate. We're here today to request an increase in the cap from 1.7 to 3.4 million, which will allow the owner to bring in several more retailers. Hobby Lobby, Marshalls, and Five Below are scheduled to open in October of this year in time for the holiday season. We are hopeful we can add additional retailers to that lineup yet this year for this year's holiday season. The sales tax rebate has directly impacted our ability to attract new businesses to the Yankton Mall. With your continued support, we will be further positioned to fill the entire building with national retailers, creating a great asset for the Yankton community. And again, thank you for all of your continued support of this project. So the rendering that's on the screen currently shows what the as completed image of the exterior is going to look like when completed. Depending on exactly which retailers round out the building, you'll likely see a few color changes to their prototypical brand colors. Specifically, the Staples box likely changes from red to a different branded color. But we're very excited. We currently have conversations going with 7 retailers, national retailers, and we have 4 spaces left. So we're in a good position in terms of interest. And as news broke of the first 3 tenants coming, that definitely opened the door quickly to conversations with further potential tenants. I think we have a few progress photos. Are we able to pull those up? And I'll kind of explain what you're looking at. So from the outside view, certainly really the only visible thing most people have seen so far is the parking lot. When you're dealing with a property this big, just updating the parking lot improvements is a major undertaking. This is inside the building. This is Marshall's loading dock. Because of the design of the building, we ended up they required us to design the loading dock in the front of the building. So kind of unique so the roof you're seeing above that will actually be removed when it's all said and done. And then that will be kind of a not enclosed, but a front loading dock that goes into the Marshall space. And then this is the interior of the Marshall space. So wide open. We have demising walls coming. Next photo, please. This is the inside of Five Below. So they are a 9,500 square foot retailer. Next photo. This is the inside of Hobby Lobby, 55,000 square feet, huge store. For those of you who have not been in the building recently, which is probably most everyone, this takes up all the space from kind of where that ramp was in the mall all the way over to Dunham's. So there's been a lot of demolition work to create this box for Hobby Lobby. And then I think the next photo should be the new loading dock for Hobby Lobby in the back of the building. So it's been kind of the boring, dirty work inside so far. In the next handful of weeks, you're going to see the front of the building get ripped off. You're going to see new storefronts. You're going to see retailer signs going up. So that's kind of the exciting part. The landlord's portion of the work will be substantially complete within about 8 weeks from now. And then at that point, the tenants take over and do their interior build out. And that's usually about a 120-day process from the time the tenants take delivery of their space. And then early fall, once they get the interiors completed, they'll start fixturing and stocking the store. They'll be recruiting through the summer, hiring, and then the goal for all of them will be to open sometime in October. You'll see them all open around the same time. And then that gets them open for the holiday season. Typically, a retailer doesn't want to open going right into Black Friday. They like to have about a 4 to 6 week buffer, get the kinks worked out, get open to the public. And the goal would be of the retailers we're talking to currently for kind of the next wave of stores, which would fill the building. We're in a position that we would hopefully be able to have additional stores open yet this holiday season, along with these three. Many times retailers, they kind of like it to be a grand reveal. They like to all open around the same time because generally they all do a lot. It's just a stronger opening versus, for instance, Five Below could have been open actually a handful of months sooner than everyone else, and they said we need our schedule to time because retailers hate opening in the midst of, first, other retailers not being open, especially the larger retailers, and usually they see soft sales on a grand opening if they're in the midst of a lot of other construction around them. It usually is kind of a deterrent for customers to come shop at their store. So you'll see all three of these and hopefully more opening this fall, so then they'll be open for this year's holiday season. So I'd like to open it up for questions and go ahead and pepper me with questions here.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start with the first question, and then I'm sure my fellow commissioners have several as well. So if we all go back, not even a year ago, you were here March 11th, 2024, is when we approved the 10-year $1.7 million tax rebate, if you want to call it that, for this building. So now here you are again, not even a year later. And don't get me wrong, when I ask my questions, it is not because I am not happy with what all you are doing at the mall. I mean, I love that I can drive through the park and not lose my car. So I think we're all very much noticing everything wonderful that's happening there. I, for one, will just say that when I got my commission packet, I was a little surprised to see that you are already coming back and asking the commission for more money on a building that hasn't even opened yet. We have no retailers, we have no nothing. You're also coming to us in the dark again, and I get NDAs, trust us, we all have signed them. So there's a lot of blind faith that you ask of this panel for this. It's not that you're not good for it. Obviously, we see the three retailers open now. So I'm just, I know, because I listened to it again today, 2.5 hours, I think, was the last time we had the discussion on this. Less than a year ago.
I don't plan on being here 2.5 hours tonight, though.
Ryan, I'm hoping not either, but we do want to do our due diligence. We take paying, using taxpayer dollars very seriously, so we do want to do our due diligence. I guess, Ryan, my question for you is, this seems like we don't really have a great business plan in place because you came to us, you asked for us, you said, great, we're going to get done at the mall what we need to get done now. Thanks for being partners with us. Oh, by the way, now we're back again for more money. So I'm just trying to understand a business, either policy or plan that maybe I don't get because of the timing of all of this. This is now the third time that the company has come back and asked for money from the city.
Great points. Yep, great points. We were here just last March, and the monies that were requested and approved at that time, they got those first three retailers open. That bucket of money essentially gets that part of the project going. I will say, if approved tonight, this is the last time you'll see me here asking for money for this project, because the funds being requested tonight round out the project. The building is full at that point. So I definitely, point well taken. It's been, I kind of forget that while, I've kind of lived and breathed this project for about 2 years now, it's still rather new in the eyes of the public. And if I'm sitting in your shoes and you're like, well, geez, this guy was here last year and we don't even have a store open yet, and you're coming back asking for more assistance, what gives? And it boils down to the very long cycle of getting a national retailer open, especially retailers of this size. Because by the time these retailers open, it will have been 2.5 years from the first conversation that I had with Matt about doing this project. The lead times are just so long to bring these deals together that there's unfortunately not a lot of instant gratification in the retail development world. But fortunately, we've been successful in bringing these retailers in and attracting more. I feel like some days I should work for the Yankton Chamber because I've gotten somewhat successful at selling the community of Yankton. When talking to national retailers, you spend almost as much time selling the city as the actual site or the actual project. I go to a large national retail convention in Las Vegas every May and meet with these and many other retailers, and you're spending more time, in fact, selling the community. And there's a lot of sales points of why Yankton is a great place to do business. And we're able to cite other national retailers that do well in Yankton. Even when we went in for financing for this project with First Dakota, there were people even internally at the bank that were very questioning of retail in Yankton. And we were able to produce data to them of Hy-Vee's numbers are this, and Menards is store rank X, and Walmart is this, and Ace is this. And when it made a believer out of some of them that kind of questioned how well these retailers in Yankton do. And there is definitely a success story. Even like Dunham's in the Yankton Mall, when they were the only tenant there, and out of the 4 Dunham's in South Dakota, they are number 1 in the state. And that's a testament to Yankton, because Yankton's actually the smallest community that Dunham's is in South Dakota. And to be first in store rank out of those 4, I mean, one thing that gets retailers excited to come to your town is to hear that other retailers are doing well in your town. And, you know, Yankton doesn't have the same problems that like a Mitchell or Brookings do in terms of, I always kind of say, you know, it's just enough of a pain in the neck to get from Yankton to Sioux Falls that it helps keep business here when you add retailers like this. So you don't have those people driving up, you know, down the highway and up the interstate to go to Hobby Lobby or to Five Below or some of the other retailers that we're talking to. So to circle back on the answer, it really is, it's a long sales cycle to bring retailers into town. And we're very fortunate right now to have a handful of retailers we're talking to. In fact, more retailers than we have spaces for. So, you know, we pick and choose, you know, kind of who makes the best tenant mix, what tenant has economics that work the best. Some retailers are more demanding than others. The deal structures are very different. Like for instance, Five Below, the landlord, they perform a lot more work in that shell to deliver it to the tenant versus versus a Hobby Lobby where it's more prepping the shell, hand it over, and then they get a cash allowance towards their build out and they send their own team in. So every retailer does it a little bit differently, but they take a lot of time to do. And right now with the handful that we have, we're very fortunate to be able to negotiate with them now, and we can move forward on these deals with the funding that's been requested. If the funding, because you could say, let's just wait. Let's let the first few get open, and then let's come back next year and just look at it then. And that's entirely your decision to make. What I will tell you is that, like in sales, retail leasing, you strike while the iron's hot. And I have found it to be the case that it's not as simple as just hitting pause on a deal with a retailer and say, oh, we're just going to hit the brakes. We'll call you next March or we'll call you next June, because there are many times where you come back and that deal's not there back then. Even like when I did the Harbor Freight deal in Yankton, I remember being in Yankton to tour buildings in 2020 during COVID, during quarantine, and they hit the brakes on that deal, and obviously we ended up not moving forward at the time. It was 4 years before they circled back and looked at Yankton again. So it's not as easy as say, oh, let's just hit the brakes and we'll come back. So with the funding this year, it allows the landlord to move forward and continue negotiating to put other deals in place to fill the building. And like I said to Matt, my goal here wasn't a half full building. My goal is a full building worth of national retailers who are successful and ultimately create a sales tax mechanism for the city.
I had a question about types of potential tenants. I've had a kind of a friendly disagreement with one of our city officials on whether Yankton has grocery leakage. It seems to me that we do, and I'm just wondering if a grocery store might be one of your potential tenants.
It would not be a lead tenant at this time.
What's that mean?
It would not be one of the top tenants that we're talking to currently.
I guess that's part of, so I wasn't on the commission last time that this came forward, but I did watch the meeting today, and I'm familiar with the process. But I guess and this was brought up the last meeting, that we're completely in the dark, and, that's been said more than once. But usually on economic deals like that, someone knows what those businesses are that coming, so that there's a little bit more information that can come to the commission, even if we don't know the name, but the city manager or someone in the city has an idea what they are, and then they can give a more informed decision to the commission. And yes, no, give us a little more data, even if we don't know the names. I understand the NDA and all that, but it's blind. And, and coming back so early, again, asking for more, you do this for a living, right? This is your profession. You know the process it takes and how long it takes, right? So this shouldn't be new to anything. So you know how much time and how much money this would take, and you're coming back so soon, right?
Right, and it's with the goal that we could, instead of doing half the mall, stopping and picking it back up in a year, this allows the landlord to really continue moving forward, to finish the construction on the entire building and fill it kind of in, although in two phases, kind of one seamless process. What I can share about the tenants, they're all national tenants. It's not, Bob's Pet Food Supply who's looking to come in. These are national retailers. Many times, as you look nationwide, you look at these retailers, it's usually the same cast of characters you see in shopping centers across the country. National retailers follow other national retailers. They they call it co-tenancy. They know that, Marshall's knows that Hobby Lobby's customer is my customer. Five Below knows that Marshall's customer is their customer. And so I would tell you that at this time, everyone we're discussing this with is a national credit retailer. And part of that, too, is in asking the city for participation with an incentive like this, and I said to Matt, too, you want to do deals with tenants that you believe are going to be in business 10 and 20 and 30 years from now, not some fly-by-night that, because take, for instance, the Staples box. That's a big, that's a 22,000 square foot box. And, I've seen over the years, local tenants want to go into a big space like that. Very hard to make those numbers work. When you're talking tens of thousands of dollars every month in rent, it takes a strong retailer user of that nature to pay the rent on that kind of space. So it's, because while the city is taking a risk by providing an incentive, I said to Matt, you're taking an enormous risk too, because you don't want to do a lease with a tenant that is on the verge of bankruptcy or somebody that simply can't pay the rent. So, we're trying to pick and choose what are the strongest tenants, what's the strongest lineup, what's the strongest credit tenant to put in these spaces simply for that reason. So, and in the existing leases, they have what we call co-tenancy language, that it says, for instance, in order for Five Below to come, we had to have a lease with Hobby Lobby, Dunham's, and Marshall's. And for Marshall's to come, we had to have a lease with Dunham's and Hobby Lobby. And these shopping centers like this, every shopping center of this nature has co-tenancy language in it. And it's for the reason that a national retailer does not want to be stuck in a building that's empty and they're the only ones there. And I saw a case in Marshall, Minnesota. It was an old indoor mall like this, there was one tenant left inside the mall. Like, could you imagine how horrible their sales would be? So that's why they all have this co-tenancy language that requires the landlord to keep this a first-class shopping center, to keep it leased up. And one of the provisions in the co-tenancy language is the building has to be 70% leased. Currently, it is 71%. So if one tenant were to fall out of bed, the other tenants can reduce their rent by half and terminate their lease. So I look at filling the whole building up as, I hate to use the word insurance policy, but it helps protect the funds that the landlord's invested, the funds that the city has invested. And I feel like, with the building full, you've protected those funds far better than if, one tenant were to go away and then you have other tenants that, the whole thing just crumbles down, where you lease up the whole building and there's more protection for longevity there.
Ryan, Commissioner Sarda brought up a good point. I guess it's a question I had too. One, I believe it was the last meeting we were at. Obviously, the city commission priority really is to focus on where we might have leakage. Going into this blind, we have no idea if what you're working on helps us with that leakage or it starts taking the shoppers of our stores we already have in town away from businesses that have already been established. And so if you could share with us, is there a reason why when this city development officer, the city manager, all do numerous NDAs. I mean, there are businesses that come and meet with Dave that we don't get to know who they are, but we know Dave has vetted them. Is there a reason why you are not looping in city people when you're having these discussions, so we have some comfort in who might be some of the businesses you're bringing, so they're not in competition with what we have here already?
Great question. We don't have the permission from the retailers, one, and two, we don't know exactly which retailers it's going to be at this point. Like I said, we've got 7 different groups we're actively talking to, and we don't have anything we can share at this time. And I understand it. You're like, we're going into this dark, and we went into this dark a year ago, and Matt delivered. And I would ask, for that vote of confidence again to finish this out. And like I said, these will be first-class national retail users.
So you can sit here tonight and tell us they will not be in direct competition with any businesses we have currently in Yankton? Thank you.
Ryan, I would feel better.
I'm trying to think, I can't think of a direct, some of them are, I don't know, it's the reality, I think, of growing and adding retailers to a market. I will share with you that the mayor of Mitchell has been extremely vocal, saying all new retail, all boats rise with the tide, and all new retail is good for all businesses. That's probably an overgeneralization, in my opinion. I remember when Brookings added Lowe's, and Ace Hardware was like, how do I compete with this? Now I'm at the mercy of Lowe's. And so I think it's hard to add business just in general without some level of competition, and you'd probably argue that some level of competition for any business is healthy. As I can't think of offhand, based on who we're talking to here, this, and this business, or they're going out of business immediately. I just can't, that's not coming to mind right now.
I just wanted to say, I believe these are negotiations and everything is negotiable, correct? With the 3 businesses you're looking at, 3 national chains you're looking at, you could negotiate and ask them, in order for this deal to happen, maybe that Mr. Mingo or City Manager Leone would be in that loop. Could they not sign an NDA and be part of that loop?
Not necessarily.
So you couldn't negotiate that with those businesses?
Not necessarily, no. National retailers are a total pain in the you-know-what sometimes. I always say you play by the golden rule. They hold all the gold and they make all the rules. And things that to you and me sound very reasonable requests that are just total non-starters for them. It is, because part of it too is you have to get them to agree, even for this rebate program, you have to get them to agree to share sales numbers. And there are some retailers that just won't. So while you or I would say that's not that unreasonable, but retailers just, they are not always reasonable, unfortunately. So while you or I could say, Dave's a stand-up guy, we'd like to include him in the conversation, it's not how they operate.
But wouldn't that be a contract? If he was looped in and signed an NDA, that would be a contract?
Right. And they just say, we're not interested.
Okay.
Because even with the first round of retailers, like, we were far down the path before we had the permission to really even have that conversation with Dave.
Dave?
So to answer your...
He's probably
Hello? So the agreement includes definition of eligible businesses and the base regarding requiring the business to be in a service sector demonstrably experiencing sales leakage as opposed to a sales pull factor, or because there's no existing business offering similar products or services in the city. There's language like that in the agreement, and this agreement would be if you approve it, would be that same language would go along into the next set of agreements. So there's the definition of eligible businesses, which says it can't just be a business moving from one spot in town into the mall unless there's a substantial expansion. Broburgers is an example of that, where they did a substantial expansion, and then by resolution you were able to add that to the agreement. And then, or it has to be something that in a sector that's experiencing retail sales leakage, and if there's any question as to whether or not that eligibility criteria is met, the fallback is you get a resolution appearing before you for consideration about that individual business and its eligibility.
And Dave, who makes the decision as to whether or not that eligible criteria is being met?
So initially, it's the city manager's review to determine if the eligibility criteria is being met. Of course, she'll lean on the city attorney and myself in that thought process. And my feeling is that when there's a doubt, that's why we have the resolution language in the agreement, that then goes before you as a commission.
I've got a couple of things. Last meeting, we had discussions. I also looked back, watched the meeting for the original 500,000, and then watched the last meeting, which is a long meeting, and it's painful for me to have to watch myself try to stumble through things and speak. The things that I noticed in that meeting, one, I did not vote in favor of it.
Yep.
I voted against it because I thought it was setting precedent. We had 2%. We had never done that before. We talked about this 1% and this 2%. What it really is it's 50% and 100%. So 50%. The way that the 1% works, if we're doing a sales tax rebate with Ace Hardware is an example. We did one with them. We split, the city gets 2% of that, of the sales tax generated. When you have a sales tax rebate, you split that. The retailer gets 1% of that, and the city gets 1% of that. What we did is we did 100%. So 100% is going to the mall. And we increased it to $1.7 million.
Yep.
And at the time, in the discussion, I had my issues with it because we were doing something in the dark. We were also doing something without the community really knowing a whole lot about that. And we're setting a new precedent. And I think here we are, less than a year later, and we have set a precedent. And now we're looking for more. Because we've already set the precedent at 2%, so let's increase that value, let's double it. Now, during that conversation, as I watched it today, part of it was the sale of, it's these three retailers, right? These three big entities and a parking lot, which understandably so, that's a huge undertaking. But part of the sales pitch of that at the time was that these three retailers will bring the other retailers. And so it wasn't just the 2% for those three retailers, it was for everybody, and it was for 1.7 million. But that was the sales, is that if we get these three big ones, then we'll be able to fill the store out. What wasn't stated is that we'll be able to fill the store out by coming back and asking for another $1.7 million. It was kind of sold as this is 1.7 to, at 2%, we're doing something we had never done before. And now we're looking to do something we haven't ever done before again. I don't know, have we ever done a sales tax rebate where then we amended it to increase the sales tax rebate and then amended it to increase the sales tax rebate one more time? Have we ever done it twice? Have we ever, done a sales tax rebate, we said it was this amount, and then they came back and then increased that amount?
I don't believe so. We've allowed additional businesses to be added to the eligible list, but I can't remember a time when it's been acted on twice or increased twice.
And so, again, we're setting this new precedent. We're going to the well again.
Yep.
On this.
I appreciate that.
During that meeting, I also had asked if there was a possibility of additional additional investors. And Matt had stated that he was not interested in taking on additional investors. And I understand that, because if you can get the city to do it, they're not expecting a dividend on it. We're expecting the community, that's why we want to get these things started, and we voted on it and we approved it. And I think that, and obviously have done a fantastic job there. However, I do think that there's a point where the private and the public have to separate ways. Help get something started. Obviously, we've gotten something started there. We've got those three retailers. The parking lot's been fixed. I think it's time, if there needs to be additional investment, it needs to come from the private sector, in my viewpoint. I don't think that it's the community's job to fund the project. It's to help, but then get out of the way and let the private sector take care of the private sector.
Sure, I appreciate the comments. It's important to know that the private sector putting money into, say, the remaining 4 spaces in there without an incentive from the community, the project is upside down. Somebody's not going to build out and prep a space to put a store in there and have, a 6-figure deficit every year. Even with private money just isn't going to do that. There is an investor, that I'm aware of that is going to put their money into something that doesn't have they're looking for a dividend, they're looking for a return. And projects like this, they're just too tight to have that kind of return to bring in more private money, which is the premise of the sales tax rebate program to begin with, is to create opportunities that would not otherwise exist for the betterment long-term of the community. And the sales tax long-term, while this is a 10-year program, there's a finite window to that benefit. And after that, the community benefits forever on this asset over time. So I understand the point. It's unfortunate that retailers they will not pay enough to come to a market like Yankton or a tertiary market like that to have it make any financial sense. And talking to these national retailers, many of them are accustomed to this. And like Marshall's, they're like, we don't go into any markets this size without some sort of incentive. We can do well in these markets, but Spencer, Iowa, there are communities that roll out the red carpet to get retailers to come. And while it is a short-term commitment from the city's perspective, it is a long-term benefit that the community gets. And, you know, I can only imagine from the city commission's perspective for this project to get done and for all of you guys to be able to say, I was part of that. We made hard decisions to make this project go. And sometimes these can be unpopular decisions, but it's better than a 20-acre blighted property in the middle of town that, I mean, even if you wanted to, you know, a few years ago, tear the whole mall down, you couldn't even make a project pencil there because it costs so much to do anything with it. And, you know, shame on previous owners of this mall. And even when I was touring Hobby Lobby through the property, I mean, it was about a year and a half ago now, and they made the comment, they said, you know, sometimes it just takes a local guy to buy a project like this and take the risk. And, you know, and to this day, every time I talk to the people from Hobby Lobby, they ask hey, how's that guy? How's the landlord doing? What a risk he took. And they're very vocal about that because they said it usually takes a local guy like that, not some out-of-market developer coming in and buying it. Because, I mean, that's been tried. That didn't work. And, you know, it's nice to see things like this happening, but it is a marriage of public and private money. And we are seeing more and more cases of public and private money coexisting to make projects happen.
But Tyler, back to what you're saying now, and what I mentioned earlier, this is your full-time profession. When this all started, and I wasn't on the commission back then, so I missed a lot of those discussions, but you knew all this going in, that this is what the mall costs, here's what it costs to bring these retailers in. You're saying that now, but you're coming back again for more funds. Wouldn't you have known this up front, what the mall is purchased for, yada, yada? I'm just asking you as the person coming forward asking for this. It's your profession to know this,
Yep.
but yet you're telling us we need more money to bring these people in. You would have known this at the beginning. And I understand one person's taking a big risk, but if those funds weren't there to begin with, where was the money going to come from?
At that time, we didn't know who the tenants that would round the project out would be. And now as we're trying to actively negotiate with some of these groups, they just will not get to the rent numbers that you or I would want them to make it work. It boils down to that. A tenant won't pay the same in Yankton, South Dakota that they'll pay in Minneapolis, Minnesota, or Indianapolis.
So I'm still trying to get all of this understood because, again, had I maybe not listened to that meeting, it wouldn't all have been fresh in my head, and I'm old enough, I wouldn't have never recalled that many details. But, you know, you guys were here, held our feet to the fire and said, if this doesn't happen tonight, it won't happen, and build it and they will come. And so we bought into the build it and they will come, but now you're saying, well, we partially will build it and then we're going to partially come back and ask for more. I mean, that's kind of what Commissioner Sarda is saying, and that's kind of what I was trying to wrap my hands around too, because I'm like, wait, did we not have a fully thought out business plan when you came to the city not even a year ago? Because you said in that meeting, we get these three, trust us, we get these three, and we'll fill the rest of it. There wasn't a but.
Well, and
we're going to have more money. I mean, that was never said. So did we not?
It wasn't known at that time.
You didn't know you were going to need more money
No,
to build it out?
Not at that time, no. Simply because the rents that we're able to get from the next wave of tenants are just not what we would have anticipated them to be.
And I'm not really trying to be mean. I'm
No, I
really
get
just
it.
trying to
It's a valid
understand
point.
because, you know, I got to turn around and tell the citizens of Yankton we're giving a private entity another $1.7 million that is now not going to be spent in our community on other projects that we want. And I get that this is a project we want. I'm just trying to understand and make sure I'm asking questions. And that's why I was doing that.
And it's, I mean, certainly it's an investment in the community. I mean, you're making an investment into this project for the long term. And
But it's not a project the city owns, and that's what makes me a little nervous too. You know, you look at a youth or family aquatic center, and when we do what we do, it's something we own that we then take responsibility for. This is a $3.4 million investment that the city has, I don't even think we have a brick in it. You know, so I just worry about what does that look like 7 years down the road, 10 years down the road. I know you said a lot of these retailers will sign 10-year leases, but so did Staples, and they never met their lease and left. So I'm thinking, you know, 7 years down the road, $2.8 million in if approved tonight, and then what if this falls through? And so I'm just trying to, I say all the time on the city commission, we don't make decisions for today. We make them for 10, 15, 20 years down the road. And I'm just trying to figure out how this all fits together and what it's going to cost the city.
Sure. And to put in perspective, so you look maybe a dozen years in the past when Menards came to the market and the city offered them an incentive package that was up to $4.6 million on a $6 million project. So in this instance, this is going to be excess of a $12 million asset. So to be just over $3 million in terms of incentives is a shadow of what was asked and provided to Menards.
I would also like to state that the Menards will be, looks like, project-wise, looks like it's going to be paid off this year. So because it's going to be paid off this year, then we will be collecting that 2% entirely.
Correct.
So just for the sake of that, and it also looks like, if I have it right, Culver's, correct? Culver's is the other that's very, very close in paying off. So.
And to put it in perspective too, Menards is about 180,000 square feet. The Yankton Mall is 260,000. So it's, I mean, you're talking about a bigger asset, more stores than Menards. And even in modern day money from a dozen years ago, that 4.6 million, I mean, we're asking well below that.
The other thing is, though, is we were in the know, and here we're completely in the dark. And when we're responsible for taxpayers' dollars and we don't even know what we're necessarily putting them towards, this first round really turned out great, but it is a little scary taking that gamble on the second.
And this is where I would quote Dave, where he said this is a performance-based incentive, and if a retailer does not qualify, then they're not eligible for the program.
And I guess that's where I'm trying to come around is this third round, does it qualify? And for myself, I just don't see that it does. We had the three anchors, and it was sold to us, or it was pitched to us. As we get these three for 1.7, we build the parking lot out, we get those, and then we will get the other ones. Now you're here, and it is less than a year's time, and you're asking for the same amount of money, again, to fill out the smaller stores, or the smaller things that originally had been stated that those will be filled out by doing these three will fill those out. And now we're at, well, we got those three, but now we need the same amount to fill out the rest of them. And I think at some point, you know, as stewards of the public's funds, because that's what it is. I know it's performance-based. I know it is. But that sales tax revenue is how, you know, is one of the main forms of the capital that we as a community use for funding projects. So again, it's 2%, which is 100%. So it creates, there's a sales tax hole inside the community where the mall is. For the period of time, and now you're looking to double that time, and it's just outside of my
not double the time.
Double the amount, excuse me, not the time, but double the amount, and I'm just not comfortable with that.
And I think the other thing you bring up, Menards, to point out for the folks in the general public, they did not get a 2% tax rebate. They had a 1%, so their amount might have been more, but it was a 1% rebate.
Just wanted to say, you know, just a couple of years ago, that mall was a lost cause. It was not just an eyesore, it was the biggest eyesore in Yankton. And where we've come in 2 years, thanks to our local entrepreneur back there, I think it's remarkable. You know, we had the parking lot, the movie theater, Hobby Lobby, Marshall's, Five Below. I think that 1.7 million, which is 170,000 a year, it's not a small amount, but it's performance-based. I think that's one of the best economic development moves we've made in a long time. And if we can fill that mall by doing that again, I think it's a good investment. I think we have to remember, I remember when I ran for city commission a couple of years ago, you know, the media, they'll ask you for goals, what you want to accomplish. And one of the things I said was it'd sure be nice to find some kind of useful purpose for the mall. And this one guy kind of criticized me on social media. He said, there's nothing you can do. That's hopeless. There's nothing the city can do. And, you know, you guys have proved that that's not true. So I think it was a good investment, and I hope we'll continue to make it.
To clarify, Matt doesn't have to do anything. He's got 4 retailers there. All the co-tenancy works just enough. He doesn't have to do anything, and no one's in default of any leases, and the remainder of the mall can sit in its current state, and that is okay. So what I'd say is if the city chose, if they elected not to invest further in this, that the bill, I mean, it can sit there as it is. We'll get these retailers done, and then that's kind of the end of the project. Versus what I'm saying is we can make a good project great. And we can safeguard the funds that have already been invested by the city and by the landlord. So if one store comes and goes, it's not a house of cards that comes down. It's, you can put these retailers in here and have a nice shopping center. And again, it's performance-based. And these are new retailers that, you know, really, it makes this project sparkle. And to your point, the first 3, it makes the phones ring from other retailers and you get their attention. And that has worked, just as we said 11 months ago that it would. The challenge has been where construction pricing has gotten and where interest rates are. It is a loser of a situation for many landlords. I mean, you look at a community like Yankton and you guys choosing to invest in this property, that means something to the community. It means something to the surrounding communities. When news of these first stores broke, in less than a week, I was sitting in Mitchell, South Dakota, in front of their mayor because he wanted to talk. And he's like, why aren't we getting this stuff? Why does Yankton get all this? And I had to explain to him, first, Yankton has a property that lends itself to being able to be repurposed for this. Unfortunately, Mitchell just doesn't have that. The Palace Mall was converted into indoor storage. The Shopco was bought by an industrial user and converted to industrial. The Runnings was bought by an industrial user and converted to industrial. And they bought these properties fair and square. But the downside for that community is they don't get the benefit of getting to bring new retailers. I will tell you this, they have told me, as we talk about 1% versus 2% versus this many years, they would do anything to get these types of, I mean, they call regularly. They're talking things like, could we buy these businesses and relocate them and tear all that down and build a new shop? Like things that would be impossible to defend in public. And here's where I look at, in Yankton, we have a far easier opportunity to make a special project here and to fill the building up, as there are other communities, they would give their left arm to be able to have these decisions in their laps to make. And I still stand that this is a fantastic asset for the city of Yankton and the surrounding communities. And it is a great way to safeguard what you've already done to keep the first retailers in the market versus, I mean, say you lost one of them at any point and now everyone's rent goes to 50% and they have the ability to terminate. Like, it's like, well, that's certainly not a path we want to go down. which is why I envision this project as a great lineup of national retailers when it's all said and done to be something great for the community. And you have a landlord here who has taken exorbitant amount of risk. And I mean, forgive me for maybe oversharing, but he's personally guaranteed everything. He's pledged everything he owns to make this project happen. There are not a lot of landlords that would go to that length. And, I think we'd all agree Matt is a very passionate individual. He cares a lot. He cares a lot about the community of Yankton. And I mean, from my very first meeting with Matt, I could tell that he wanted to do something special with this property, and I guess that's why we stand before you again today. And to digress a little, I was not involved when the initial ask came forth for $500,000 for this property for one, I feel like if I would have been involved at that, $500,000 doesn't even get you to first base on a project like this. So I think the last go around, it was really kind of coming back and correcting. And then this time around is just simply, we can't get the rents out of these retailers that we would need to for that to stand on its own. But with the community support, we are able to make it work, and we are able to bring additional stores in. And it would be our hope that they're open this holiday season along with the first 3.
Any other questions from the commission? I'm assuming there are people in the audience that are here probably because of this. I don't know if it was because of other reasons. So I guess before I ask the pleasure of the commission, is there anybody in the public that wants to say something to the commission in reference to this agenda item? I see several.
I honestly like to clarify a couple things with
Okay.
if that's okay.
And I think I saw a couple hands go up. 1, 2, I think there was 3, 4. Okay, perfect. Trust us, I make sure we hear from all of you. All right. Lindsay, you want to start? Yep, you need to come up to the mic because we record these meetings and they're broadcast. So I'll start with her, and then if you just want to just go up to the mic, we do record. So I'm going to ask, and if you could state your name just so we know who we're talking to, that would be appreciative.
Hi, my name's Lindsay Jacobson, and I'm from Yankton here. I grew up here. And when I was a kid, I used to go to the mall all the time. They had the pizza place, they had all the stores, and it was so fun. Saturday, we would go to the mall, have pizza, go around. It was amazing. And so it was really difficult when the store started to leave in the mall, and then there's just nothing. All we had is Denham's. We had no movie theater or anything. And when I found out that Matt decided to purchase the mall, I've known him and just seen all the incredible stuff that he's done with the community. His heart's about Yankton. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Yankton is going to get a mall back. This is so exciting. And seeing the movie theater come back and how amazing that's been. It was better than what it used to be. It's so good. There's things for kids to play at. Play place. My sister comes from Colorado. My brother comes from Minnesota. And they love to go to the mall and go play there. And it's really cool to see how much he's invested in the project. And it's a miracle. It's so cool to see what has been done, and it would be really special to see it just finished off. I know personally he's put so much into it. He's at the movie theater, selling tickets. He's working in it, and I know how much his heart is, and it's cool to see how much he loves his community to pour everything that he has into the project, and it'd be so cool just to see it finish off. So.
Great, thank you. Dave, hate to bother you. I know Tom wants to say something. Could you grab a mic? And yeah, Gary, do you want to step up? And then we'll get a mic for Tom. And then I know there's some folks over here too as well. Go ahead, Gary.
Well, I don't know if you call me a proponent or opponent. I'm probably an opponent, to be honest with you. My dad used to tell me that anybody can give something away. It takes a salesman to sell it. You can give money to everybody in this room and they'll take it. That's the purpose here. Now, you heard some talk about Mitchell. Mitchell wants to know why they can't get all these. Guess what? It's a trade war. I'd like to have a Cabela's here, but we don't. I'd like to have 2 major grocery stores in town, but we only have 1. And you go on and on and on. That's not a fair comparison at all. That's not a fair comparison. You talk about the risk. There's risk to the city on this one, not to the developer. The risk sits with the city. Not the city either so much as the taxpayer. There's thank yous to the city for what you have done in the past. Don't thank the city. It's the taxpayers in this community that put that money in the war chest. Not the city. You people are charged with the proper and appropriate use of that money. Now let's go into a little history on city sales tax. City sales tax initially started out 1%. You could do anything with it. We put 2% on it. But there were strings tied to that second penny. And I was in the legislature, and every year the municipalities would come in and they would want to do another thing with that second penny. We were amending it every year. Finally, the 4th year they came in, they wanted to amend it for something else, and I said, that's it, we're not doing it. You know what we're going to do? I'm going to draft an amendment, and we're going to take all provisions off it. Do whatever you want, and don't come back. Unfortunately, cities are back this year looking for 1% for capital projects. What can they do with those capital projects with that 1% after it's paid off? They can give it away. The bill was killed, thank God. It was a crazy bill. But the point is this. The tax, the sales tax given to the municipalities wasn't meant to be a giveaway for somebody. It wasn't meant to be a gift. It was meant to supplement the general fund, to help with property tax. Take a look at your property tax. Has anybody here heard about property tax? I hear about it every day, every single day. And when I look at my property tax bill, it just infuriates me. It infuriates me to the point where I could just scream and pull what little hair I have left out. But when I look at that, I'm seeing opt-out. That opt-out on my tax bill amounts to 11% of my taxes. Those 2 opt-outs. One for the city, one for the school. Do I need it? But, you know, we can go on and on with this property tax, but I'm not here to talk about property tax. I'm here to talk about giving money away. Originally, you know, you just talk about the 2% and 1.7 million. It started out at 500,000 and 1%. It more than tripled to 1.7 million. And now today we're looking at 3.4 million. And what are we going to look at next year? It'll be there, folks. It'll be there. You cannot continue to put money out and buy these kinds of projects. What happened to developers who went out and worked their ass off and built a business? They didn't go out and beg the city government or the county government or the state government for money. They didn't look for grants. They didn't want a handout. They just wanted to build their business, and they worked hard at it, and they did it. They did product diversification. They did all kinds of things on their own. And the lender went along with them. Why wouldn't the lender? They worked hard. And if this is such a good deal, they're not going to need another $3.4 million. This thing will take off like a striped ape in 10 years, and there'll be so much money coming out of there that you won't know what to do. So I think, you should really take a careful look at how many times you want the same developer to come before this body and ask for the taxpayers' dollar when we can't give them a little property tax relief. That was meant to fund general funds in municipal governments. Municipal is county, city, fire districts, ambulance districts. They're all municipal. They're all defined as municipal. We have to be cognizant of that. And we're going to have other issues down the road. And we're not going to have that money. We're not going to have that 2%. We're not going to have that $3.4 million if there becomes a critical need in this community. We have to be ever vigilant about those critical needs. We can't just willy-nilly go pass this money out every time somebody asks for it. There has to be a plan, and I didn't see a very good plan here. I see a plan to get more money from the city. That's what I see, and it's not right. Now, I could go on and on about that, but I had some other concerns when I looked at the packet, and it's nothing new, but it's the pass-through money and how that's handled. I don't like it. I think it's a rotten deal, the pass-through. It's a third party on that pass-through, and everything you read is critical of it. And I'm just going to go over a few things on that. When you start talking about the third party pass-through, you have to ask yourself, is there a level where things are kept anonymous? Does a third party avoid solicitation of others? Are these pass-throughs disclosed to others? The donor has control over the distribution of funds, and you should never forget that. And the reason I'm addressing that here today is because that's all in a resolution if you guys choose to pass that resolution. And I want you to think about pass-throughs. I know that state law says you can use them. It's permissive in nature. It doesn't say you have to use them. You got to be careful with them. Third-party pass-throughs have and continue to be a channel for bribes. That's a big issue when you read up on this. I'm not saying anybody in Yankton is going to be bribed who acts as a third party. But what I am going to say is, where's their expertise if they're not charging a fee on this? You've got to think about that. What's that mean to you? Social and governance risk is in the value control on these. Compliance officers are frequently receiving questions leading to identity risk. There is no more exposure to reputational risk and financial loss by way of consumer action than through a third party. The donor...
Gary, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm going to have to ask you to speak to the agenda item that's on here. If there's other agenda, something off the agenda you want to discuss, we would do that under other business. I am asking folks to speak on the exact petition in front of this tonight.
What's being asked for in a resolution. Take a look at your resolution. You got a third-party pass-through in there.
What do you mean pass-through? What is it that you're talking about? Because, okay,
you
so...
give the money to Thrive, and Thrive turns around and gives it to the beneficiary.
So Thrive...
The donor is the city. The third-party pass-through would be Thrive in this instance. And the donor, the recipient would be the individual you give the
So,
money to.
being the gentleman that wrote the agreement, I can explain to you what that means. The companies that are subject to the sales tax rebate provide their sales tax data to Thrive, who verifies that information and works with the city to make sure the correct amount is rebated back. That's what that is.
You don't need that, you know it. The city is the one that's gonna send it all to Thrive. The city collects it, the city sends the information and administers the program, really, and sends it through Thrive. Now, if you don't wanna hear about it, I won't tell you about it then. I don't care. Do what you want. But I am sick and tired of the giveaways. I'm sick and tired of people coming in here and begging money. And I'm sick and tired of people telling me that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I don't think you people, a lot of you people, understand what's going on with this pass-through. Have any of you ever looked at it? Have any of you ever looked at all the laws that deal with tips? Now, I know that's not part of this. That's all things that get left in the dark. You all act on recommendations from other people. You got to start doing your own research on this. And I'll end it at that. And unfortunately, I guess you don't want to talk about the pass-through. You don't want to accept the truth of the fact on pass-throughs. And it's another case of whitewashing something. I'm sick and tired of whitewashing in government. I'm sick and tired of painting windows black with no transparency left in government. And that's what happens with pass-throughs.
Gary, I'm going to have to ask you to either talk on what's on the agenda. We don't have the ability, when we're a public entity, to talk about things not specifically on the agenda.
Part of that resolution that you may act on tonight. And I know it should have probably been separate from the tax, because the tax is in that resolution.
All right, Dave, I think we have, you have the mic for Tom, and then I know we've got some folks over here as well.
Thank you. My name is Tom Bixler. I am not a member of the commission, but I am a member of the public that the commission does serve. And I was listening to Mr. Tisdale's talk, and as a person who has lived here since 1990, over 30 years, I don't know about the rest of you on this board, and if any of you disagree, you're more than welcome to do so. But I have been very used to Walmart being the only store in town that you can shop at. It's the only store we got, and they love the idea. Yes, I do go to Walmart, but yes, they love the idea of people having to go to them. So I had a question for Mr. Tisdale. If the commission passes this deal tonight, how do we know that Walmart, who loves the idea of staying as the store that people shop at, won't just try to undercut the businesses that are coming in so they can stay on their perch? I love the idea that new stores are coming in here. Personally, I love the idea that the mall has new stores in it. I used to work in the mall when it was full of stores. I worked in On Q. I worked at Sam Goody. They were both great stores before they went out of business. And I just want to know from Mr. Tisdale, how do we know if we pass this that Walmart will not just try to undercut those stores to stay on their perch? And that was my question for Mr. Tisdale. And if the commission agrees with me, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine. You might have thought that I only came up here to get signatures on my petitions tonight. You're quickly going to find out that I'm a little bit more than that. and I'm a citizen of this city just like the rest of you are, and just like everybody else, I care about what happens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it okay if I let everyone else?
Yep. Yep, there might be other questions. All right, I think I saw others with hands up. Yep, go ahead. We're going to make our way across. I promise we'll get to everybody. Again, if you can just state your name so we know who we're visiting with.
Yeah. So my name is Jacob Olson. I currently serve as the executive pastor of Restored Church, who happens to be a tenant at the mall. Commissioners, I want to say thank you for your service to Yankton City. Now, we know that you do this job because you care for our community. And like myself, I do believe that Matt Evans also has a deep love for the community of Yankton. Just over 2 years ago, I oversaw the building project at the mall that Restored Church undertook, and I know how incredibly taxing it can be and how difficult it is. So very well aware of the task at hand that he's going through right now, and our staff members and members of the church have all seen and unfortunately heard on some occasions of the construction going on. I would certainly say that what's happening at the Yankton Mall is a labor of love rather than an easy way to make money. I am reminded of the prophet Nehemiah in the Old Testament, who, when he heard of the destruction of Jerusalem, went to his king. He was a cupbearer, and so going before the king would have likely had him killed. But he went before the king, the governors of the land, and he asked to rebuild the city of Jerusalem. And he put his hands to work to rebuild a very large staple of that area, as Matt has done with the very large staple of the Yankton Mall in the center of town. He saw that it needed some serious TLC and embarked on a mission to see it repaired and thriving. And it's because of this and the great progress that we've seen that Restore Church, myself as a pastor and myself on behalf of Pastor Jeff, who is currently on the road from Rapid City, so I'll be praying for him that he gets home safe. But its members and leaders asked that the commission would provide this service, provide Matt and his business whatever aid that you can responsibly and reasonably offer on behalf of our community. We've seen, like I've stated, so much progress already, and I'm not supposed to peek my head in the hallways of the mall, but I do on occasion. So seeing the progress that is happening has been very encouraging to myself, to our leaders at the church, as well as our members. So thank you for your time, and I hope that you take that into consideration.
Thank you. Others? Yep, go ahead and step up to the mic. You can use either one, actually, whatever one you're comfortable with. And if you can just state your name so we know who we're visiting with.
My name is Jackie Peterson, and I just want to say that we walk at the mall, my husband and I walk at the mall probably 5 days out of the week. So we've seen a lot of the progress that's been going on there, and it's really a monumental task. I mean, it's, oh. Okay. And, can you hear me now? Maybe? Okay. Well, Matt is there every day. He's there every day at the mall working, and, he's put a lot of his, heart and soul into this project. And, to me, it looks like it would be insurmountable that he's taken on a huge project. I think that he really wants to, improve our town. And so, I think that, the more stores that we add to our town, that it's just maybe is going to, add shopping opportunities for people. I have so many people say that, well, I have to go to Sioux Falls to shop, where I would rather stay in this town and shop. I don't want to have to drive that distance to do my shopping. I'd rather support Yankton. So I think that what he's doing here is really a great thing for this town. It's bringing it back to life. And I think that we talk about things about, I know everybody's talked about, the parking lot and how bad it is, and it is. It was terrible. And we had bought something from out of town for someone, and they were going to, so they delivered it to us here in town, but they said, well, where could we meet? And we said, well, we could meet at, the Yankton Mall. And so, when they got there, they said, we were kind of just scared to even drive through this parking lot. So, and I think that you look at the parking lot now, and I hate to say this, but I never thought I'd say that a parking lot looks beautiful, but it does. And I think when people drive into town, before that parking lot was so terrible, and that's the image that people saw of our town. Now when you look over there, you see it looks totally different. It looks like our town looks newer, that we're prospering, that it's not just run down. I mean, it made part of that town look so run down, and now it doesn't look that way anymore. So, I think he's really working hard to do something really good for our town. And I think that the more stores you bring in, we're going to see more shoppers. I think that it's not really going to hurt the downtown stores. Hopefully it will spread to them too, that, the more shopping, if you're in town for a day of shopping, you're probably going to wander to, the other stores that are in town and not just go to one store to shop. So, I just think that he's doing a great job. And as far as having a movie theater, that's great. There was the time when there was no movie theater here, and we would drive to Viborg, to go to the movie theater, and you would see other Yankton people doing the same thing. So, that was, hard when we didn't have, it's a form of entertainment for our town that, so I'm really, I'm kind of in awe that he's taken on this project. It's huge, but it's something that he wants to do for our town, to make our town better. So I guess that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that wants to address the commission on this? Yes, sir. You probably know the drill, but if you can share your name with us when you get up there, that would be great.
Yes, hi, my name is Brian Bauk, and I actually serve at Restored Church as one of the pastoral residents, and I don't have anything prepared. I just kind of feel the Lord leading me just to come up here and share something with you guys. Commissioner Hunoff, at the beginning of the night, you talked about investing in our city manager's wage. And I look at Yankton and I see this big investment right here in the center of town. And I ask you, where is the city right now as far as economic development on that list of 1 to 8? And how far are you willing to go to bring us up from 8, because that's where I believe we're at, and back on the map to be a thriving city in South Dakota? That's all I have.
Is there anybody else that wants to address the city commission from the public? I think we got at least one question that was asked of you.
I promise.
Yeah, I know, you're looking at your watch.
I promised we weren't going to be here 2.5 hours.
Oh, I didn't make that promise.
So I'll address a few things. How do we know Walmart will not undercut these stores? I can't speak to Walmart. I can't speak to what they'll do or not do. I can tell you that Walmart coexists with these stores in many, many, many markets across the country. In fact, thousands. So I would not expect these stores to go away because of Walmart. And in fact, when these types of retailers see a town has Walmart and other things like that, it kind of checks those boxes of, what does a community already have? So I can't speak to what Walmart will or won't do, but I can say that these stores coexist very well with Walmart in hundreds and thousands of towns around the country. You bet. I appreciate the question. And I have a couple other final comments. The one thing I will address, can't remember his name, the loud gentleman. Sorry. He made the comment that that the developer, the landlord, is taking zero risk, and that is just purely not true. Matt is taking a huge risk here, and maybe dovetail with the comment that was made of this is like a labor of love, not an easy way to make money. I will say, and I don't even think Matt knows this, before Matt bought this property, I was approached to try to get a developer in Sioux Falls to buy this, a specific developer. And the developer, I couldn't get him to touch it with a 10-foot pole. He wanted nothing to do with it. And I guess we can't understate, how much Matt really does care, and he is trying to do something good for the community here. And this is far from a money grab. This is not an out-of-market developer coming in, because, they just said there's not enough profit in this for, it takes somebody who loves the community to really take the risk that he has and to move forward with this project. So, and then the final comment I'll make is, or two final things. One, keep in mind that the city, over the long run, will earn far more than the cost of their initial investment here. This is not a giveaway. This is creating something that otherwise would not exist. And without the incentive, I guess, that's how Dave describes it. The whole essence of the sales tax rebate is, without this, it's not going to happen anyway. And, somewhat similar to TIFs and TIDs and things like that. Like, this isn't going to happen anyway. This is truly an investment from the city to help make something happen in the community. And I will say that, we're currently working with a national restaurant group to go in the former Pizza Hut. And what I've sold them on is the momentum that Matt has built just a block away. And that helps get other things to the market. And going back to when people hear that other retailers are in your town and that those retailers do well, it helps get interest from more. So that's all I have. If you have additional questions, I can answer them, but that's all I have.
Does the commission have any other questions while he's up there? I'm not seeing any mics coming on.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it.
Matt, I thought we were going to get through the whole evening without you getting up to the microphone.
I just ask that every one of you just please put your faith in me. That's all I ask. I want to fulfill my promises. I want this town to be great. I don't want any of these stores, if we have a choice, if I can have a choice, any of these stores to be kicking anybody out of this town or taking people out of business. I don't want that. I want you to put your faith in me to do what I did the last time, what I said I would do, bringing Hobby Lobby and Marshalls and Five Below. I want to bring in more stores. Staples alone is a 22,000 or 23,000 square foot. That's going to be a big store if we get these in there. Just please have faith in me that I will do the right thing and that I will bring these stores in that you want, get this filled, so in 10 years when these stores come to renew their lease, they say, this is great and we want to stay. That's all I ask. Just put your faith in me. Like, I promise I'll do what needs to be done for this community.
All right. Lots of discussion here tonight, and I appreciate that, and those of you from the community that came forth tonight as well. With that, folks, I don't know if you've heard what you need to hear. If you have any other questions, otherwise, I would ask what's the pleasure of the commission?
I'd move to approve.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second to approve the request in front of you tonight, which is the $3.4 million over 10 years. So just changing the amount and not the years, if everybody's understanding that. Now that we actually do have a motion and a second, is there any commission discussion as tied to this or questions now that we have that motion? Anybody in the public want to address the commission on this? I see somebody moving. Unless you're just stretching your legs, Brian.
A little bit of both, maybe.
Okay. State your name, please, if you would.
Good evening. My name is Brian Birch. I appeared before you last time when Matt was up, and I spoke in favor of it. Matt has done what he asked, what he proposed would happen. He said, I need these funds to go after 3 major retailers, and that's what happened. They're not open yet, but they're making progress. What he wants to do now is he wants to fill up the rest of the mall, and I think that's a great thing for the city at a reasonable cost. You look at Norfolk, for example, they're bigger than Yankton by about 50%, but you look at the retail that's down there, and it puts us to shame. So this is a chance for us to get back in the game, to be able to provide for the communities that are in a 30-mile radius of Yankton. There's a lot of people in there that will come to Yankton, spend a lot of money, not just at the mall, but at other things. Also, as the mall develops, I didn't know the piece about the restaurant, but I was sitting back there thinking about that, gee, there's going to be some opportunities for new restaurants in town, which, with the ones that have gone away, we dearly need. So I would endorse once again the proposal, and good luck.
Is there anybody else in the public that wants to address the commission on this motion? I don't see any other movement. Roll call.
Weber?
Aye.
Benson?
No.
Brunick?
No.
Sarda?
No.
Hanoff?
Aye. Yes.
Minor?
Aye.
Villanueva?
Nay.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosier?
Hang on. We found ourselves in a conundrum here with a vote of right now 4 no, 3 yes, and ironically, it doesn't matter what I vote, because if I vote yes, it fails, and if I vote no, it fails. So I guess you still need an official vote out of me, so it's a no.
Can you walk me through why? Because it would be a tie?
It's a tie. Now, what I would say is, Dave, Amy, anybody, Ross, because there's not all 9 of us here tonight. If it dies tonight, can they come back, or how does this work?
Yeah, there's kind of as a general rule that's setting this issue aside, the idea is we want finality in decisions. So the idea would be if it's brought back, it should be a different proposal, but you want to move past things, you know what I mean? So you guys control your own agenda. There's a process for dealing with that on in our ordinances. Staff helps vet the agenda if something comes back again. There's a way for that to happen in the ordinary course. But maybe there's another way to consider this. If there's some other motions or proposals that the commission has, it's up to you whether you want to move on. But as it stands now, it has failed.
All right, number 8 under new business is consideration of memorandum 25-37 recommending that the commission approve change order number 2 for the Gale Drive and sanitary truck sewer improvement projects in the amount of $25,563.35. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Benson.
Aye.
Burnick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Number 9 under new business is consideration of memorandum 25-38 recommending that the commission approve change order number 1 for the Cedar Street construction project in the amount of $35,546.90. What is the pleasure?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Burnick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. And number 10 under new business is consideration of memorandum 25-39, recommending that the commission approve resolution 25-07, authorizing the state to issue a work order to Banner Associates, Inc. to proceed with the inspection of the city-owned bridge structures. What's the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this? Anybody in the public? Roll call.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Burnick.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mosher.
Aye, motion carries. Next on the agenda is future business. Before I ask if there's anything from the commission, I believe Amy had something she wanted to share.
Yeah, everybody, lots of folks left, but I wanted to let people know that I heard from the Public Works Director, we will be plowing at midnight this evening. There will be no snow emergency, however, we will begin plowing at midnight. Garbage, solid waste, and recycling is still on for tomorrow, so that is still scheduled as normal for Tuesday routes. I will let the school know and we'll notify everybody properly on social media. And thank you to the commission on behalf of Lisa and Ross and I for your generosity with our wages.
All right, does the commission have any future business they want to bring up for the body tonight? Seeing no microphones go on, then I would ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting of February 10th, 2025.
Moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Anybody abstaining? We are adjourned. Travel safely out there, folks.